In the news headline, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu warns Niger military junta if president health suffers. Defense headquarters says the troops of the armed forces neutralized 28 terrorists in 2 weeks across the country. United Nations says over 200 aid workers killed this year in South Sudan. Hello, this is 7 News at 7. Today is 18th August 2023. I am Salma Adam Iko with the news. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has said his administration will leverage digital technology to create Nigeria's desired socio-economic progress that is necessary to transform society. The president stated this while receiving in audience a delegation from Google led by its West Africa director Olamide Balogun at the State House, Abuja. Bola Tinubu said his administration was determined to use education and technology to improve the lives of its citizens, added that education was central to uplifting Nigerians. He called on Google to partner with the government on the use of data in the public sector to enhance service delivery. President Tinubu said he was bringing more young people into the administration to further drive his transformative effort to and realize great progress in the sector. In his remarks, the director of Google West Africa, Mr. Olumide Balogun, informed the President Tinubu informed President Tinubu pardon that the delegation came to Nigeria to reassure the government that the company is committed to supporting its laudable effort through the development of modern digital technology. President Bola Tinubu warned there will be grave consequences if Niger's military regime allows ousted President Mohamed Bazoum's health to worsen under house arrest. The president, chairman of the ECOWAS regional bloc, which opposes the Niger coup, said President Bazoum's detention conditions are deteriorating. Bazoum was detained on July 26 by members of his presidential guard. He and his family are detained in the presidential palace. The Nigerian president stressed the determination and political will of ECOWAS to act together. The European Union retreated full support and backing of ECOWAS decisions, as well as firm condemnation of the unacceptable coup in Niger. The federal government has urged the newly appointed ministers to commence documentation on Saturday. Sawaba Radio reported that President Bola Tinubu had on Wednesday approved portfolios for the 45 ministers designate following the confirmation by the state were revealed by the Senate, revealed last week. The Permanent Secretary General Services Office of the Secretary to the Federation, Nnamdi Mbari, said the exercise is expected to end on Sunday, August 20th. He urged the ministers to come up with their curriculum vitae, birth certificate, declaration of age, two passport photographs, among others. Ministers designate are to please note that their documentation will take place at the conference room, General Services Office, second floor, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, tomorrow, August 19th, and Sunday, 20th. The ministers are expected to be sworn in by President Bola Tinubu on Monday at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The defense headquarters says the troops of armed forces of Nigeria had in last 2 weeks neutralized 28 terrorists, apprehended 113, and rescued 82 victims in various operations across the country. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Edward Buba, Major General, said this while briefing journalists on the operations of the military across the country on Thursday in Abuja. Mr. Buba said the apprehended suspect comprised 92 terrorists, 6 gun runners, 3 kidnappers, 6 collaborators, and 7 perpetrators of oil theft. Edward Buba said the troops of Operation Hatinkai eliminated 7 terrorists in the northeast, arrested 5 and rescued 31 hostages, while 28 family members of Boko Haram ISWAP terrorists comprising 9 adult females and 19 children were also rescued and taken into custody. He added that the troops of Operation Safe Haven eliminated 2 gunmen in North Central, rescued 2 hostages, and arrested 6 kidnappers, as well as recovered arms and ammunition during the period. He said the troops neutralized 13 terrorists, arrested 7, 2 informants, and 2 collaborators, as well as rescued 16 hostages. The Speaker House of Representatives Abbas Tajuddin has assured the Emir of Zazzau of establishing additional military formation to tame bandit attacks in Zaria. Abbas Tajuddin gave the assurance during a condolence visit to the Emir Mala Ahmed Bamalli at his palace in Zaria today. The Speaker said the purpose of the visit was to commiserate with the Emirate over the mosque collapse and cases of bandit attacks in Zaria and its environs. The Speaker, House of Representatives, said he would work closely with the Emirate Council on the quick and timely renovation of the collapsed mosques. Responding, the Emir applauded the Speaker's visit and urged him to expand the gesture to cover other volatile areas of the Emirate. The Emir specifically urged for the seating of such military camps around Kurege, Kugu, and other western axes of the ancient city of Zaria. Highlights of the visit were donations for the renovation of mosques from some of the principal officers and members of the National Assembly who accompanied the speaker. World Health Organization (WHO), in collaboration with the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency (NPHCDA), has rolled out plans to support the Katsina State government achieve its goal in healthcare delivery. This was coming as the state chapter of the National Medical Association has given the state government an ultimatum to address certain concerns of facing a warning strike. The WHO country representative in Nigeria, Dr. Walter Kazadi Molumbo, disclosed this while addressing journalists shortly after the meeting with the governor Dikko Umar yesterday in Katsina. He said the combined team of the two organizations was in the state to reflect a bit on the path of health in the state, the needs and challenges, and how they can better support the state government to achieve its goal, paying attention to the universal health coverage. Also speaking, the executive director of the chief executive officer of the NPHCDA, Dr. Faisal Shuaibu, underscored the importance of the investment in primary health care. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has said 51 new cases of circulating variant polio virus have been detected in Nigeria from January to August 13th this year, with the Northwest Zone accounting for 92% of the new cases. Spanning 50 local government areas, 47 in the cases are from states in Northwest Zone that are facing security challenges, a situation that has now become a major concern for all stakeholders in health sector. This was disclosed by the World Health Organization country representative in Nigeria, Dr. Walter Malumbo, yesterday during a strategic meeting in Kaduna State organized the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. The World Health Organization country representative Molumbo said a majority of the outbreaks were from states facing security challenges in the region, causing setbacks to the country's attainment of universal health coverage. The executive director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency said the agency and the Federal Ministry of Health remained steadfast in their objectives of making their country polio-free. The news is coming to you from studio of Sawaba Radio. More of the news after the short break. Do stay.
This is News on the Hour, Sawaba Radio FM. Stay tuned.
Welcome back and thank you for staying tuned. Police in Jigawa State have arrested 50-year-old Ibrahim Adamu for allegedly using a sharp object to butcher his 4-year-old stepson. Spokesman of Jigawa State Police Command DSP Lawan Shiso Adam confirmed the incident in a statement made available to newsmen. He said the incident happened at Ungwar Dinya village, Roni local government area of Jigawa. He said the investigation led to the arrest of a 50-year-old man, Ibrahim Adamu, of Ungwar Dinya village, Roni local government area, who is the husband to the deceased mother. Shisu said the suspect confessed to the commission of the crime over a hatred he developed for the child that he cannot afford to be feeding someone's child. He said the suspect also confessed that he attempts to kill the child for the first time, but the attempt was foiled by the deceased mother, who reported him to her in-law. He disclosed that the suspect was already been arraigned in court. The Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf has launched the planting of over 1,200,000 28,000 seedlings of various species of trees as part of effort to document climate change in the state. The tree planting campaign was launched at the Central Eid Grand Koparamata, and that it will run for 2 weeks as part of activities to mark the 2023 tree planting campaign. Speaking at the program, Governor Yusuf said the campaign was in fulfillment of the pledge of the federal government and the governors to plant 25 million trees to enhance the country's carbon sink as part of the nation's efforts to implement the Paris Climate Change Agreement. He added that it was also in line with the global call for protecting the environment, preserving ecosystems, and addressing the menace of global warming. In his address, the State Commissioner of Environment and Climate Change, Alhaji Nasiru Silagaru, said the state government will distribute seedlings to the residents for planting in their areas. Kebbi State Governor Nasiru Idris has sworn in 26 commissioners and members of State Executive Council. He charged the new commissioners to keep to the expectations of the electorate and live off to their assigned responsibilities. While swearing in the commissioners, the governor warned that any of the commissioners that failed to discharge their responsibilities would be removed. He directed the new commissioners to go to their respective ministry and commence work immediately for the betterment of the people of the state. He said their appointments were based on their track records and service to the state, and enjoined them to mingle with the people in their respective local government so as to know their needs and challenges for the government to tackle. The Niger State Governor Umar Bago said his administration was considering going into dialogue with bandits and terrorists who have been wreaking havoc in the state. The governor disclosed this after meeting with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. While appealing for the collaboration between the state and the federal government in restoring peace to the state, the governor noted that full military action will be activated if the non-kinetic approach fails. Some residents of Taraba have started stealing farm produce to feed their families. Reports from some communities across the state revealed that incidents of the thief of raw cassava, yam, and maize were recorded in recent weeks. A lady who owned a cassava farm in one of the villages in Ardokola local government area of the state said she caught her neighbors harvesting cassava in her farm severally. The lady farmer, Lami John, told the reporter that the first person she caught in her farm confessed that he stole cassava from her farm not to sell, but to feed his family. Lami said further that she recorded more of such cases in her farm, and all those she caught were her neighbors and actually stole the cassava to feed their families. Further findings revealed that theft of yam and maize in the farms is now rampant in villages across the state. Another farmer, Ibrahim Suleiman, said he caught his neighbors stealing maize in his farm 4 times, but he did not report the matter to the police or their ward head. He said he knew that those he caught were never identified with any criminal acts in the village, but probably the hard time might be the factor behind their action. Now to international scene. United Nations says at least 22 aid workers have been killed in South Sudan, who says it tops the list of most dangerous countries for aid workers in the world. Some 9.4 million people, more than 2/3 of its population, are in their need of humanitarian aid, according to United Nations estimate. The crisis has worsened because access have become harder and funding is lower. Since the start of this year, there have been 40 attacks on the aid workers in South Sudan, leaving 22 aid workers dead and 36 injured, according to the 2023 Aid Worker Security Report. The United Nations Acting Humanitarian Coordinator for South Sudan says most of those killed were South Sudanese nationals. The humanitarian community, they say, it needs $1.7 billion to target 6.8 million of the most vulnerable people. In addition to the conflict in neighboring Sudan has triggered an influx of over 220,000 refugees, returnees, and third country nationals into South Sudan since April. United Nations Human Rights Chief has expressed grave concern over the people of Niger, who he said were going to face even more hardship as a result of last month's coup. Volker Turk called on the military generals to immediately restore constitutional order. He said in the country where nearly half of the population is mired in the extreme poverty, the situation was worsening, with borders shut, trade at a standstill, power cut, and rising food prices. His comment comes as West African army chiefs are meeting for a second day in Ghana to coordinate possible military action should diplomatic efforts reverse the coup fail. And we wrap up the news with this and a recap of the major stories. From the news, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu warns Niger military junta if president health suffers. Defense headquarters says the troops of the armed forces neutralized 28 terrorists in 2 weeks across the country. United Nations says over 28 workers killed this year in South Sudan. On behalf of the news department and news editor Abdullahi Awale Kofar Ariwa, I am Salma Adami Iko. Have a great night.